All right, the stream should be back on now. Okay, now the output should look better. Party time without the stream. No partying without me. All right. So we should be back up and running now. Tell me if that looks better. But all right. So we got our app settings little secrets here. Let's go ahead and pop open our little identity controller. So we went ahead, we created our user. That's great. Let me go ahead and pull up our little event sourced actor that I created for this, just so I kind of remember where we were when we left off. I think it was this. So we have this identity master actor who processes all the incoming events, creates a child for each individual user. And then each of these user actors down here will go ahead and run a diff on the event that came in. And based on those diffed events, we'll go ahead and write out to the event source what did or did not change. So that's kind of where I remember leaving things last time around. Yep. Okay. All looks good. Much better. Well, thanks for letting me know. I basically had to reimage my Windows machine last week. Funnily enough, it's because my cat lied down across the keyboard and my Windows key got unbound. And I tried turning off filter keys and a whole bunch of other settings. And eventually I read some article on basically a registry setting I should change to get the Windows key binding to work again. And that gave me the blue screen of death after I tried rebooting my computer. So I had to do a reset to get everything up and running again. What am I drinking? Well, you missed that part at the beginning of the stream. So Emo, every night I go ahead and usually bring open. So I've got a pretty good bourbon and scotch collection. So tonight we're drinking Woodford Reserve and we're drinking their wheated bourbon, which I think they only release this a couple times a year. It's got a really nice finish and it's got a little bit more, I guess I would say caramel and a kind of sweet aftertaste compared to the normal Woodford Reserve. And it tastes great, and it's a relatively inexpensive bottle too. That runs about $30. Christopher, you and your Danish beer. You know, I think one of my favorite beers I've ever had is Danish. Haxe, Haxe. Only place I've ever had it, funnily enough. I've been to Denmark once, but I never had it there. I've always had it in Brazil. Is the one place where I could get it. I could always get that beer in Sao Paulo for some reason. So, yeah. Although I also had that beer in the Tegel Airport in Berlin once. I had it. I slammed one of those right before I boarded a 12-hour flight back to Newark Airport, the United States. Dang, that's good. All right, so we've got a little event-sourced model here. We're using record types to kind of provide. We're basically kind of using record types as a bit of like a discriminated union. Is kind of what we're doing. So if I go and take a look at the original, let's say, events that we were creating here, if I go ahead and pull up my protocol. So we have these little, so basically this is kind of the way we've been doing it. We've been defining a protocol class, like a static class. And then we usually define a couple of interfaces that belong to that protocol that are used to canonically identify objects. So in our case, user ID is the primary identifier for doing all this identity stuff. But there's some queries where we have the user's name, but not their identity. But not their ID, excuse me. And so we have a second interface for that. And then we've been using these record types with nullable properties as a bit of like a poor man's discriminated union. So the user ID property always has to be set, and we have nullability checking on. So the compiler will complain if you try to pass a null value in here. But all these other properties are optional. And we're using these, we're basically doing like no real authentication. There's no passwords or anything in here. We're gonna go ahead and randomly generate usernames just so when you go ahead and log in and join a collaborative painting session, you can go ahead and have kind of a sticky ID that follows you through all the drawings you might be working on. And what I'd like to try to get to have happen tonight is actually go ahead and properly go ahead and issue an authentication cookie to all of our anonymous users. That way the ID is sticky. And then we want to go ahead and add a second channel on top of SignalR that broadcasts all of the ephemeral data. Since Emo's never joined us before, let me go ahead and show him what we've been working on. So Christopher, who's on the stream, has sent a number of pull requests in. And then we've also had a number of other folks who've contributed one way or another. And so we've tried to basically build a collaborative drawing program in Blazor. And so if I go ahead and click launch new paint session, I can go ahead and draw all these different little strokes on screen. I can go ahead and the UI is very poor. That is not really my specialty. But I can go ahead and change my cursor and draw on here. And then if I go ahead and I copy this and I create a new anonymous tab, I can go ahead and draw on this UI, and that stroke will eventually get rendered over here on the other screen. We're using Akka.net behind the scenes to basically act as a bit of a synchronization plane right now. Now, one thing that Christopher and I have noticed is that it takes a little while. There's like a delay in the rendering here, where basically the events that get written by one client don't get propagated right away. So we do need to go ahead and fix that. That's just kind of a synchronization issue with the way the client's working right now. But all the server-side stuff is working great. So what we're going to try to go ahead and do tonight is assign a sticky identity. And what I'd like to be able to do is have it so if you have multiple people all drawing on screen, you want to be able to go ahead and see where their cursor is, what their cursor looks like, and maybe see an overlay for that user's name. So maybe say, I don't know, we came up with a bunch of random usernames right here. So we have Dollar, American, Apple Foo, Him J Fuber. These are all usernames from our people who are in our audience usually. But we'd like to be able to go ahead and see, here's where Him J's cursor is. Here's where Apple Foo's cursor is, and so forth. And so kind of want to go ahead and kind of offer like a second channel in SignalR to broadcast that temporary information that doesn't really have much to do with the actual drawing plan itself. Yeah, we do have some pretty creative usernames. Let's see, Stan Swede, Christopher Weller. We came up with a random username algorithm that I'm pretty proud of. So we want to go ahead and we want to add support for that. The other thing we want to add some support for is on this screen right here, our index screen. We should have a list of all the active drawing sessions that are in progress. Now, these are all ephemeral. We don't actually persist any of the data for drawings themselves. The drawings are kind of meant to disappear after 30 minutes of inactivity. We have some code inside Akka.net that enforces that. But it'd be really nice to be able to go ahead and see, here's a drawing, and here's how many people are in this room right now, and here's the last time it was updated. That way, when we go ahead and we push this up to, probably going to push this up to either our Kubernetes cluster that's running on Azure, or maybe we'll go ahead and push this onto something like Azure App Service. Kind of depends on how we implement the backplane behind the scenes. If we're using Akka.cluster, we probably can't use Azure App Service because it doesn't allow you to bind to arbitrary TCP and UDP sockets on there. We'd have to go ahead and write like a SignalR transport to allow Akka.cluster to work behind the scenes there. But it'd be really nice from an interactivity point of view to be able to see if I want to see what other people are working on, or if I want to contribute to their drawing, where can I go to do that? So that's something that we want to try to build our way towards. And so the first part of that we've spent a number of streams working on is trying to go ahead and make that identity sticky. And so all this code is open source, by the way. I'll go ahead and drop a link to this in chat. So I think it's all licensed under Apache 2, which is kind of the default that we use for, I think, all of our public repos. So anyone can go ahead and pull this down and modify it and run with it. And we basically are kind of just doing this just for fun. It's just meant to be a cool project. There's, if you want to go ahead and clone it, modify it, host it yourself, by all means, please feel free to do that. So let's go ahead and let's see if we can finish stubbing out this identity controller here. I'm going to go ahead and shut down Rider real fast and reclaim a bit of my real estate. By the way, I just discovered this in Rider, and I think it's pretty neat. Let me go ahead and move over to my controller. Zen mode in Rider is pretty neat. So I'm going to go ahead and do View, Appearance, Enter Zen mode. All right. This makes me feel like a hardcore Emacs person, or Vim, or whichever one of those IDEs is it. But this is pretty neat. Basically, there's no Chrome at all. I can go ahead and get access to it if I really need to, but I have all this screen real estate to myself. And I really like this quite a bit. Plus, I think this is actually pretty nice for streaming too. Now, I'm sure Visual Studio Code or VS itself might have something similar to this, but I've never used it. So we have our register method. This looks like it should work okay. Let's go ahead and add a action results and authenticate method. And we'll go ahead and do from body, authenticate model. And I need to go ahead and actually create this class, and our authenticate model. Let's see here. Oh, guess it won't let me do that. Did you just call Emacs and Vim IDEs? Be careful, the mob will find you. You know, one of the things I kind of get off on is alighting a lot of, let's say, developer religious arguments, and because I'm just at the end of the day, I'm just ruled by pragmatism for the most part. I just enjoy kind of stoking the coals there. We had an Emacs versus Vim event early in my study of computer science. This is nostalgic. All right, in terms of the Linux editor wars, I'm going to say something that'll go ahead and turn both the Vim and the Emacs people on me, which is I'm a Nano person. Nano is my jam. That's what I use. And that's primarily because I'm used to working solely on Ubuntu, but Nano's where it's at for me. All right, our authenticate model, we'll go ahead and just pass in the user ID. Okay. All right, and I'm gonna go ahead and crib the blue Mentat. I love Nano. There we go. See, I'm not alone. Thank you. I really appreciate that. It's like the scene from the Avengers where everyone shows up to defeat Thanos, where Thanos in this case is, I don't know, a hardcore Emacs user. You know? I love this. Okay. The Vim people are like, why don't we get to be Thanos? It's like, well, you're not a big enough bad guy. I'm sorry. Gotta be the big bad to go ahead and get away with that. Okay. So I passed in my little secret that we're going to use for doing some encoding. I guess I need to pass this into the controller somehow. So app settings, is that a class that this user defined in their little API somewhere? Let's take a look. User service, entities. I really like this code because it's like a totally minimalistic. In fact, I'm going to drop a link to this. We were looking at this developer. Let me see if I can find his blog again. Jason Watmore. We're looking at his example of doing Blazor auth last time around, and this is the little ASP.NET API he kind of built behind that. I need to give him some attribution just for the purposes of being germane in terms of OSS licensing. Let's see, he's got a permissive license, but I need to go ahead and give him some credit. Definitely inside of probably the header of our identity controller, but I'll go ahead and give him a shout out in the README too, because you want to reward people who make good work. And one of the easiest ways to reward them is just to acknowledge it and recognize it. So I'll go ahead and make sure I update in this pull request or README to go ahead and give him credit for his great blog post and for his example repositories, which have been really helpful for me. In fact, I should give him a little star. There we go. Oh, right. Now, let me go back to his controller. See if I can find that. Yeah. I'll take a look at what the MIT license says specifically. I don't remember if it requires attribution or not. GitHub spells that out pretty easily, so I can figure it out. But just as a matter of principle, you know, I just want to give him credit. Because he put this really simple and concise example together. This could help me achieve my goal of just getting like a sticky identity that's random and anonymous to go ahead and follow people. You know, I want to go ahead and give him a ASP.NET identity, not an area I have very much experience in. This was really helpful in simplifying it for me, particularly from the Blazor side of things. All right, so user service authenticate. Now, I don't know if I have, let's see, take a look at services, user service. What does this do? This is verifying the password. Well, we don't need to do any of that crap if we're not bothering with passwords. So we can just let it rip, I guess. So let me go ahead and copy this stuff. And they're using an anonymous return type there, which is fine, I suppose. I mean, it's just security. Let's see. And then JWT security token handler. Let me go ahead and import that. Security token descriptors. I'm probably missing a NuGet package. All right, let's see which NuGet package I'm missing. Microsoft.identity model. That sounds like a likely culprit. Let's see. It is something you forget sometimes when you write something from research. Be going to a repository and adding a reference to W3. Well, you know, it's having been on the side of the table where people have basically plagiarized one of our open source libraries, renamed it, and then got that not attributed anything back. That's happened to us before with our Hocon library in particular. It sucks. So you want to be mindful of that. But you also want to think about this from like a virtuous cycle perspective, which is people who go and put things out in public for free without any expectation of getting any money or anything in return, you want to incentivize them to keep doing that. That's what's going to drive innovation and exploration of ideas and new concepts in our ecosystem. Therefore, you want to go ahead and make sure they get some gratification somewhere along the way. Recognition's probably the least expensive way of doing that. I think I've got, in terms of my open source sponsorships that I do, I think I've got 3 people that I'm sponsoring. A developer who wrote a MailChimp library that we use real heavily in our KPI system and a couple of other areas. He's like maintaining it all by himself as a developer based out of Iowa. I don't think it's part of his full-time job, so we give him a few dollars a month or something like that. We've got a developer the developer behind AppMetrics, Alan, who's based out of Australia. We use AppMetrics in one of our products, so we go ahead and contribute some money each month. We also contribute a lot of pull requests to AppMetrics, which is another way you can go ahead and contribute. And then there's a developer who built a really nice, I guess it's a CQRS framework on top of Akka.net called Architecture, AKKA TECTURE. And we went ahead and are giving him some money too, just because we want to see that framework get released and updated, because it kind of helps build the Akka.net ecosystem even more. Tomorrow, we're doing our Akka.net community stand-up at like 1:30 p.m. Central Daylight Time. And I've got some fellows who have built it's called Game Plumbing Framework. In fact, you know what? Let me go ahead and I'm going to Google that on my other tab over here and pull up their website. I'm having them actually do a little demo on our Akka.net community stand-up. And if you want to go ahead and watch that, there's a link on Petitbridge's YouTube channel that basically has sort of like a placeholder for when we're doing the stream tomorrow. But we're having these guys do a demo, the 2 founders. And these guys are Unity 3D developers who work for like professional studios, that sort of thing. They basically built an entire framework on top of Akka.net for helping Unity developers build multiplayer video games. And so their framework, I think, is going to be proprietary. It's probably not going to be open source. And they're probably going to sell it through the Unity store, would be my guess. But you know what? Even for a proprietary framework like that, I definitely want to go ahead and support those creators, because we want that type of innovation in the ecosystem. And we want to go ahead and have, lots of small ISVs out there constantly trying to find ways to make us all more productive. Ultimately, having options like this floating around the .NET ecosystem is going to ultimately help enrich all of us. It's going to make the ecosystem more valuable. It's going to give us more opportunities. It's going to eliminate costs from a whole bunch of areas for us. So I didn't mean to get on my soapbox about all that stuff, but it's something that I'm really passionate about, because I benefit from it both as a open source person in the .NET ecosystem. But I also see the benefit just overall. If I go back to working on application development one day, having a plethora of tools to choose from, and also great like little open source example repos like this one I can learn from, definitely works to my benefit over the long haul. Okay, now where was I? Let's see. User service is basically just, we've already kind of built that, so I don't think we really need to do it. I just need to install the right NuGet package for this. Let's see. System.identityModel.tokens is apparently what I need to install. Okay. So let me go ahead and add, and what dependencies does this take? Identity model.logging. I think we actually have identity model itself. It's already installed in here. I thought. Anyway, maybe not. Let's go ahead and add that. Yeah, we'll add that. Draw together server. Okay. Let's see. And then, all right. Okay, well, looks like that helped some of it. So it looks like I still need to install the identity model too. Let's see. So what versions of this are there out there? 7.0 for Microsoft Identity Model. All right. Well, let's go ahead and give that a shot. See if that helps. All right. Seeing some signs of life here. Yeah, sure. Let's go ahead and bring that in. What do we need here? Security token descriptor. Uh-oh. I wonder if I only needed one of those two NuGet packages. Maybe the identity model.tokens is deprecated. Let me go ahead and do manage NuGet packages. I actually feel more comfortable doing this type of thing by actually editing the CS project. Let me go ahead and zap that. See if that helps. Okay. That looks all right. And the JWT security token handler doesn't appear to be. I don't even know if we need this, to be honest. We're basically doing forms off. But you know what? Let's go ahead and just see where we need to go. System.identityModel.jwt. All right, let's give that a shot. Okay. Now this thing's still grumbling at me. Oh boy, we got a new subscription. Beef Coder, thank you. Let's see. Okay, there we go. All right, so what namespaces do we have? Claims, tokens, That all looks good. App settings.secret, I still need to fix. Let's see. Let's go ahead and say we're going to do this from Microsoft Identity Model. So this should create an alias for me. So I thought, anyway. Microsoft Identity Model.tokens. All right, let me go ahead and try doing a build real fast. This might be an issue with ReSharper's cache. Oh, Emo and Christopher. Well, thank you both for subscribing. I appreciate that. Identity Model.tokens. I thought we got rid of that. Oh. All right, let's go ahead and clean that up. Okay, I thought Microsoft Identity Model 7.0 has all this stuff. Let me just double check. This is me kind of feeling my way in the dark, some of this. All right, signing credentials. Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, so it looks like I'm getting a little bit of a package conflict here. It looks like there's some stuff that is supported in the Microsoft Identity package and some that isn't. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at how this Blazor application that Jason built. Let's go ahead and take a look at, let's look at his repositories. All right. Oh, he has a lot of followers. Wow. Got a lot more than me. Okay, let's look for his Blazor auths. Blazor WebAssembly registration login. Because maybe I don't need all this token stuff. So let's go ahead, take a look at that. Okie doke. Let's go look at it. Let's see. Pages, users. Let's look at account. Let's look at register, for instance. All right, you go ahead and do register. Account service.register. And they navigate you to the login page. And how does this work? Account service.login. And they go ahead and they return you to this URL. All right, so look at the account service then. Account service. Looks like they're storing this data in local storage rather than in cookies. Is what this appears to be to me. I'm gonna go ahead and pour a little bit more whiskey here. All right. When you're dealing with authentication, you can never have enough. Well, dealing with identity, really, it's not necessarily just authentication. You can never have enough bourbon to go along with that. Okay. We have our navigation manager, local storage service. Now I'm a little confused why they're using local storage and not cookies with Blazor. Bear in mind, I'm a Blazor newbie, so I'm kind of feeling my way in the dark on this stuff. More spirit, that's the spirit. Amen. Well, I think if you're going to do a Twitch stream where you're kind of doing stuff you're not necessarily all that experienced at, having a little bit of liquid courage can't really help. Or can't hurt. Although that kind of sounds like the advice an alcoholic, come to think of it. So maybe I should refine that. Okay. Let's do Blazor authentication cookies. I'm Googling off screen. Best practice. Blazor cookie authentication. All right, let's take a look at this. Let's see. Services, add cookie, right. We tried doing all the scaffolding stuff before. We decided that wasn't super great. This is pretty much what we got. Register new user. All right, cookie authentication. Let's take a look at that. Hashing with salt. Right. Is this all video-based stuff? Ah, come on. That's no fun. Sync Fusion. Stack Overflow. All right. Let's take a look at this. All right. Solve a startup CS stuff. That's not super interesting. Is this a Blazor server or Blazor WebAssembly? In any case, you can't use the HTTP context accessor in your application. This HTTP context accessor .http context sign in async cannot work because the HTTP context is not available in Blazor server. Needless to say, that HTTP context cannot be created on the browser. Either use this services to add HTTP client, use the HTTP client factory. And it seems to me that you're not familiar with Blazor or the authentication and authorization system of Blazor. This is the sort of super helpful comment I have come to expect from Stack Overflow. Oh goodness. Okay. Poor guy. I'm gonna give you an upvote. Thanks for trying, pal. I appreciate that. Poor Christoph. Okay. Well, it seems to me like the way to do authentication in Blazor is probably using the authentication state provider and local storage. I believe that's how all this is supposed to work. Now we're doing ASP.NET Core 5.0, pal. We're all C#9 and everything else up in the air. All right. Okay, authentication state provider service is covered for the following sections. Right? I think I have some of this stuff in here. Cookie controller, all right. HTTP context, sign in async. We do this behind the scenes. Oh, this is really helpful. Okay, great. Form action equals cookie method post. Context user claims. Okay, well, there we go. That's exactly what I was looking for. And this is really simple and distilled down. I'm going to go ahead and drop a link to this in chat too. Perfect. Sometimes you just got to Google hard enough. We've already got all this stuff set up, the cascading authentication state. This is really all we need. So I probably don't need all this crazy token junk. All right. Well, let's just go ahead and do that then. Okay. All right. Let me go ahead and open this. Yeah, no, I think I'm all right. Here's what I'm gonna do. Famous identity. Well, that's not right. There we go. And my little authenticate model, what did I include up here? User ID. All right, let's do this. I want to go ahead and pass in my name's identifier. Yes, that'd be good. So what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and do a little try catch here. Oops. Go ahead and move all this inside of there. All right, that looks good. And then I want to go ahead and take my service that we built on top of Akka.net, our user store. And I want to go ahead and do var, user values equals await user store, get find by ID async. There we go. Model at user ID. Right? I had to pass in a cancellation token. Okay, var CTS new cancellation token source. Let's go ahead and do, I don't know, 3 seconds. CTS. I wonder if there's an ambient CTS somewhere inside ASP.NET Core. I'm not experienced enough to be able to tell you, but I imagine there might be for being able to time out the entire HTTP request. If we could just piggyback off that, that'd be great, but I just don't know if we have it. Okay, so find user by ID async. That looks good. I don't need to do configure on await false inside an ASP.NET context. We should be good to go there. Then I need to go ahead and say, if user values is not real user, this basically means that we hit a blank. So our event sourcing system is modeled off what's called a blind write system, which means that we don't have database indices to piggyback off of. We're basically not typically doing a bunch of broad match searches inside like a normal relational database system. What we're doing is we're kind of using a key value store behind the scenes, which means we need to look for a specific entity. And if it exists, we go ahead and return its properties. If the entity doesn't exist, we go ahead and we return a special case. In this case, this special case is defined, if I go here, we basically have in our identity protocol, we have a no user and a deleted user, which kind of represent 2 different special cases. More often than not, we're probably going to hit the first one, where someone's going to log in using, a user that does not exist. That's what we're going to go ahead and try first here. All right, is not real user. In this case, we're going to go ahead and return not found. And can I pass in an error message? I guess. Go ahead and say not able to find user with ID. Go ahead. Model. All right, that should be good. Splendid. Now, if I go down here, I'm going to go ahead and say that our user values dot username belongs there, and I'll go ahead and do another claim. Claim types. I don't know why oh, you know what? It's because I messed up. Okay. Let's see. Actor, not to be confused with our actor. Let's see. PPID, group SID, primary SID. What does any of this mean? Well, name identifier is nice. I do want to include that. Let's see. All right, let's go ahead and Google for this. Microsoft.identity claim types. Okay, let's pull this up. What claim type am I looking for? I basically just want to have some way of exposing the user's ID. PPID. The private personal identifier of an entity. That's probably a good fit. Let's see. Anonymous. Authentication, authorization decision, name identifier. Let's take a look at that. Get the URI for a claim that specifies the name of identity. So there's name and name identifier. All right, I guess one of these is meant to be normalized, the other's not. I might be doing the wrong thing here, but I'm gonna go ahead and give it a try. We'll go ahead and do name identifier. We'll have that be the user's ID. That's what we use in all of our queries. It's just easier if we pass that around. Then for the name, we'll go ahead and put the English, sort of, or whatever locale you choose. We'll go ahead and basically include the username here. That should be good. All right, we'll go ahead and pass that in. Claims principal, claims identity. Cannot resolve constructor, claims principal, Microsoft Identity Model, claims identity. Okay. Well, I guess I can always just do this, and that'll satisfy the compiler. All right. That should be all right, I think. And then HTTP context dot sign in async. All right, let's see. Okay, beautiful. Uh-oh, doesn't like that. Why doesn't it like that? Sign in async takes a claims principal. Claims principal is, oh. Well, that's probably why that didn't work. Okay, it's because we got two different namespaces with the same type in here. All right, so this method, if I go ahead and pull this in, this method expects a system.security claims principal, not Microsoft Identity Model. Okay. All right, we'll go ahead and give that a try. We'll go ahead and do system.security claims. That hold up. Okay, everyone seems happy now. Perfect. That looks good. We're redirecting our little URL here. HTTP context sign in async. Okay, this should probably attach the user's cookie. I need to make this an HTTP method. So we go ahead and do login. Go ahead and do that. I don't know if I need to do a redirect since this is all Blazor. I don't know if that necessarily makes a huge amount of sense. So maybe we're better off returning an anonymous type down here with, if I go ahead and get rid of, we'll go ahead and do, user values .id. Then we'll go ahead and do user value .username. All right. And then if there's an exception, I'll go ahead and do what I did down here. Just scrap that. All right, that seems okay. That's probably all right. I don't think we need to necessarily look up users or do any of that other stuff that was in the previous sample. Let me go ahead and first, though. Let me go ahead and give Jason some credit. And let me go to his controller. And go ahead and decorate the top of my file. Source inspired by. And I'll go ahead and link to his blog post. Now I might need to go and add an MIT license header. I'll kind of figure that out downstream if I need to do that. This is better than nothing. I'll also go ahead and make sure I include a link to this in the README on this project. Now I've got another window open here. I'm just gonna go ahead and commit, commit authentication method. I'm just using GitHub for Windows on another screen, and I'm typing in my TPP password, so I can go ahead and push that update to the repo. All right, that looks good. Okay, that should all be set. Now, next, we need to actually invoke these methods from Blazor. So let's go to, let's see, don't need it there. I think we need to go ahead and do this inside index.blazor. Yeah, let's do that. All right, Mr. WebAssembly, show me the way. How do we do this? Let's see here. login.razor and register.razor. All right. I'm probably pronouncing that weird. Well, those links didn't go anywhere. That's all right. We already pulled all this up. I think it was here. Nope. And repo, I'm looking at everything. I think this is it. Okay. So, if I go to pages and we go to account and register, I think we're doing all this using an HTTP client behind the scenes. This account service. Let's go and take a look at that. Yeah. So that's how they're doing that. I actually kind of prefer the way this is doing it. Route controller, API controller. Did I do that right, actually? Let me take a look at the way I defined it. I think I did. Let's see. Controllers. API controller route. Good enough. All right, there we go. Got our claims principal. Got that going. Okay. So what I want to go ahead and do is if the user is not logged in, I want to go ahead and get this user to authenticate. Oh, and they even have a sample. That's nice. Take a look. Blazor FAQ cookies authentication. Well, that's wunderbar. All right. Cookie controller. Oh, that's simple enough. App.razor. We got that already set up. All right, that's good. Pages. Let's go ahead and do index. Authorize view. All right. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and add this to our home screen. And then I think I have a nav section in our area here. Yeah, there we go. Nav link, nav match equals all. Nav menu CSS, starting with the UI, toggle nav menu. Body. Why do I feel like this is not a particularly descriptive way of linking to our content? Ref equals start. Yeah, I wonder about that. That seems like I maybe messed up. But it appears to work okay. Okay. Now, if someone's not authorized, let's see. Let me go ahead and pull up paint.razor. Got my little code section down here, which is what I need here. Okay. And what I want to go ahead and do is if, I guess I need a little method in here. Let's see, how did I do that here? On initialized async, okay. All right, let me go ahead and override that. And this should be on initialized async. This should be an async task. On initialized. Okay. All right. Now inside here, we have our random naming service in our navigation manager. Where did I stick that? I think our random naming manager might actually be a server-side thing running inside our SignalR hub right now. Let me just double check that. Ah, yes, indeed. We are running that inside SignalR. So I think actually, nope. I take a look at startup CS. We have our random name service, user ID provider. So yeah, so we're basically injecting this into SignalR. That's what that's coming from. Okay. So what I want to go ahead and do is on index.razor. Go on, check to see it. All right, if context type. How do I get check the context here? That's gonna be a bit of a problem, isn't it? Let's see. Authentication state context. Okay. So I need to figure out how to check Blazor authentication state. I want to go ahead and see how we check that. Let's see. All right, I'm going to go ahead and drag over a little bit of Stack Overflow data here. I'm going to go ahead and upload this. So we can use Blazor to check the authentication state in one place, such as main layout.razor, so that when you're navigating to a component, I can invalidate the state token if expired. For example, if you use on-after render async, it is too late because the page is already rendered. I do not want to repeat this check on every component, so I want to know there's something like a lifecycle function that gets called each time we navigate to a component where I can do something like this. All right, this is actually my question too. I want to know how to do this. So this is great, hence the upvote. All right. So I do something like this. identity broker, and the bottom of main layout.razor. Add authorize on any page that you would navigate to. Would also check the authentication state. Okay, let me go ahead and add this to our paint page. So let me go ahead and pull this up. Paint.razor. All right. That should authorize this page. Christopher, hope you find this helpful. I know this is the first time you've done some work with the authentication side of Blazor too. This is definitely a big journey for me, that's for sure. Let's see. Now I'm gonna go ahead and stick this on paint.razor as well. And I don't want to necessarily do claims first. Is claims a dictionary? What is claims? Okay. Next dot. Oh goodness. Okay. Well, that's a problem. Let's go ahead and do value. That's not what I do. If I take a look at my controller, where I actually did all this long advance. ID is that. Nope. Wrong field. Claim. Type is that. Okay, it's the type as well. Okay. Alright, let's do that. Equals, and I'll go ahead and change this to single. Claim types. Dot, and this should be. All right, that looks swell. Let's go ahead and grab that. And we'll do that on index.razor too. Let's stick that there. Okay. I think I got to import a namespace. I already have that package installed, pal. We'll just import the claim types again. All right, there we go. Maybe I should go ahead and just add this actually to imports.razor. I think that's probably a good idea. Okay, yeah. That way that's available everywhere. Let me go to paints.razor. I can do that. All right. Everyone should be on the same page now. Okay. Now we've got to deal with the issue of actually handling the authentication. So what did this little method do down here? They basically took a dependency on the authentication state provider, all right, We don't necessarily need that. Since if I take a look at my Blazor code from, here we go, here, if I take a look at counter.razor, are they not really doing anything all that sophisticated with these components? Doesn't look that way. Okay, well, that might be a bit of a problem, that we have our cookie all set up, but there's no programmatic enforcement of this. You might want to use context.user find first. Oh, all right, well, let's give that a try. Context.user, we're looking up claims. Okay, let's give that a shot. Well, how about that? It's on the user, not claims. I got you. Possibly a null reference. No. We'll see how that goes. Oh, looks like I accidentally broke that. Okay, I didn't even know that was an option emo. Thanks. All right. Okay, and let's go ahead and do that here too. All right. Hey, that seems helpful. Thank you. No need for the manual comparison. Oh, so I can just go ahead and pass in claim types.name like that. Oh, okay. I got you now. All right. I had no idea. All right. Oh, whoops. Well, that's a lot less verbose. And I like the fact that we're not having to go and write a link expression either. That's just one less thing I have to think about. That's great. Excellent. Thank you. Okay. So maybe I need to create a little service for my client here. So if I go and take a look at the authentication stuff for this little application, they're doing it all via form. Whereas I kind of want to do it via an HTTP client. So I go down here. They're using local storage, not the authentication manager though. So I'm gonna have to go ahead and do something novel here. So that's okay. That's what we're here to do. I did not want to move that file, whatever that was. No, I'm good. All right, so let's go ahead and do this. These are mostly meant to be server-side services down here. Why don't I go ahead and add a new folder, new directory. We'll go ahead and do a new class interface. We'll go ahead and do, I don't know, like this order. Blazor auth service. Go ahead and do that. Yeah, sure. Now, do I need to have it implement some kind of interface somewhere? You know what? Sure, we'll do that. Interface all together. It's a bit of a mouthful. That's okay. I guess I just need to return a task. I don't necessarily need to do a whole bunch of other stuff. This is a Blazor server app. Yes, it is. Yeah, we actually, funnily enough, we started a couple weeks ago with a Blazor WASM and a separate server application. Then we merged them together, and the performance of the Blazor client improved by like multiple orders of magnitude. A lot of people who've been following the stream would all attest to that. But basically, it got a lot faster after we merged everything together. But yeah, this is a Blazor server app. Okay, I guess I can get rid of the async there. Let's see. Login. Well, I'll go ahead and say we'll do a task. User info. Register. Those are the only kinds of Blazor apps I'm building. So convenient. You know, we tried doing like that sort of where it was a standalone app that connected to a separate SignalR process, and yeah, the performance of the writes, as the number of sprites increased. Christopher actually on this channel contributed a ton of different variations of our original drawing protocol. Originally, every time you held down the mouse, it would go ahead and emit little circles using whatever the refresh rate of the mouse down event is, which I think it's high, but not super high. And we noticed that the thing started getting laggy after a while. Then we went ahead and switched it to using Blazor curves, I think is what we started using. And even that started being a little non-performant after a while. Well, it turned out having the WASM and the actual ASP.NET and SignalR side of things running in two separate processes really added a lot of overhead on the client, I think. Not totally sure what was the real root cause of that, but all those problems went away and we merged everything back together. Man, I'm almost out of my second glass here, and I'm only an hour and 10 minutes into this. All right, let's go ahead and add login, and I'll go ahead and do string user. That should be all right. Draw together client service. Go ahead and add all that. Yeah, we had some issues. So it could be network latency. We definitely had some issues on my machine that a couple of other of our audience members identified, which was related to port exhaustion. And that might have been actually the fault of Brave, the browser that I use, which is really just a fork of Chrome, but still, it looked like it might be possibly caused by that. Let's see, HTTP client. I think I only really need a client factory. Oh, actually an HTTP client, because this service is somewhat ephemeral. All of it. Let's see, HTTP service.get, blah, blah, blah. Get by ID, post. I'm gonna go ahead and add a little model here. All right, so a couple things I need. First, let me go ahead and add this. What was the random naming service we created? That was fun. I want to go ahead and bring that back. Random naming service, user ID provider. Boo. All right, that was a boring name for that. Yeah, I do need to advertise this more. All right, Emo, good seeing you. Thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it. And yeah, hopefully we'll catch you again sometime. All right. Go ahead, add that. Let's see, next. I think I need to go ahead and just add an HTTP client, maybe. Actually, no, I'm just gonna go ahead and assume I just need an HTTP client here. What do we do for this service? HTTP service. Well, that would do it. Yeah, that sure would do it. Okay. Well, that's all right. You know, I'm starting to wonder if this won't work at all when we try posting from the client to the server here, even though it's all coming from the Blazor client. I'm a little worried this may not actually work. I just want to go ahead and double check. Maybe that sync fusion code, since it relies on a form, may not be quite robust enough. Blazor cookie authentication. Let's just take a look. All right. All right. Thank you, GDPR. Go away. All right. Web API, Blazor front end, Blazor client. Oh God. Okay. Authorize view. Authorize. A custom authentication state provider. Oh, goodness gracious. Okay. Client get JSON async. Oh, goodness. Well, I can see some promise here. Well, where are they getting the user from? Hey, wait, fetch user, right. If the server returned 41 unauthorized, redirect to the login page. Okay. All right. Let's give it a shot. Let's see how well this works. All right. Blazor WSM cookie off. Client. Services. Cached user. Log out path. Log in path. You know what I don't understand is what methods actually got overridden here at all. I don't totally get that. Shit. Okay. All right. So what do they do in this application? Go back up to here. If I go down to program.cs. So they didn't really add any, looks like they didn't go ahead and add any custom authentication providers or anything. They're just using whatever their little constructs are. If I go and take a look at app.razor, but not using the cascading off view. No. That's no bueno. Yeah, that's a problem. Let's see. Let's get rid of that. Blazor WebAssembly cookie off. Use YARP instead of proxy kit. That seems very helpful. I'm gonna take a look at the API controllers. Okay, well, it helps if there is one. Startup. Looks like it's just a bunch of JWT nonsense. Some swagger back here. Okay. This seems like not quite what we're looking for. Let's take a look at one more thing. It should be client factory, client based address. Blazor server authentication. Oops. Hold on, I accidentally unplugged my headset here. Put that back in. There we go. All right. Well, this claims data getting through somehow. And it's the authentication state provider that does that. Ah, okay, here we go. Well, this is helpful. Get claims principal data. Iterate over all that. Okay. Yeah, how do I know if I need a custom provider or not? I mean, that'd be good to know. Authentication state task. Right. Right. Let's see here. Authorize attribute. Got that. We're not really using roles. No, in a Blazor WebAssembly app component, add all of these. All right, let's go ahead and see what we've got. Components to authorization, ASP. Okay, so we've got all that. All right, that's all included. Awesome Blazor authentication. All right, let's give this a look. Oh. Blazor boilerplate. Oh, goodness. Okay. Man, just give me something simple, for God's sakes. Okay. Pages. All right. Okay. Well, it doesn't really help me. Man, all this just to go ahead and create like some random identities in Blazor. Blazor boilerplate. Okay. I think this is the same one I just looked at. Okay. Nope, it's not. Okay. Blazor, server, controllers, logging controller, show me the money. All right. So we're sending a JWT token back. Claims new. So we pass this JWT token back. And what does the client do with it? If I take a look at, say, auth service, we have our authentication state provider. Okay. So let's say we have to stick this in local storage. Okay, that's not the end of the world. We'll go ahead and just do that. All right. So I'll go ahead and include an HTTP client builder. What else am I going to include? Actually, I guess I really just only need that. Let me go ahead and grab these while we're at it. Okay. That should be fine. That should be fine. Then where does this type come from?
Painting, I guess.
Blazor.local storage. Okie doke. And so that must be a NuGet package, I'm guessing. Take a look at that.
Yes.
All right. Let's go ahead and add that. I'll add this.
Painting, I guess.
That should be fine. Okay. Everyone should be happy now. Yep. All that's going to be passed in this constructor via dependency injection. Okay, now to register user, we're going to go ahead and say, okay, username. All right, that username should be random. I guess I don't need my user ID provider here.
Painting, I guess.
So I'll go ahead and just get rid of that parameter. Get rid of that. We'll go and say, okay. Actually, you know, it's probably a good idea to take this argument from the outside and just to get rid of this.
Yes.
Let's go ahead and do that. HTTP client. And then let's see, actually go implement. How does this work? HTTP client, post async. All right. Let's go ahead and pull this up. That's fine. HTTP client.
Yes.
Post async, and this will be identity. Register.
Painting, I guess.
All right. Then username. And we'll get a random identity assigned back to us. We'll go ahead and do. And of course, I went ahead and made this all form body encoded, which is probably not right. So let me go ahead and open up the server here. Controllers. Counts. I guess it's okay. Yeah, all right. I guess it's fine. Okay. Whatever you say. Let's see, we'll go back here. Pull that up. Open up our client auth service. I guess we're posting an HTTP body as a string content there. That doesn't seem right to me, does it? Let's say we got the login controller. From body. Okay, that seems kind of weird to me. That all seems a little weird to me. I guess we're including a JSON result in the HTTP body. All right. Well, you got it, bud. Why not? We'll go ahead and serialize async. Sure. Guess I need a stream of some kind. Now I've done all this stuff with system.text.json, another project, but I honestly don't remember how to do it off the top of my head here. JSON converter. Stream UTF-8 JSON. Why not? All right. See if that works. I guess I need to make this async as well. Hey, Andrew, good to see you, man. How are you doing? Cannot assign void to an implicit local variable. Okay. Whatever you say. Oh, that's cool. Await using. Wow. Oh, damn. All right. Just got back from jazz night. Well, hey, sounds like your night's more fun than me. I was trying to figure out how to do structure, how to take akka.logger.seriallog and actually put a small, let's say, serial log logger that would actually run inside the logging adapter. That would go ahead and write events through the logging bus that would then be handled by the real underlying serial log sync behind the scenes. That's what I was doing for a couple hours today. Figuring that out. Right before the stream started. Basically to make it easier to pass in, do some contextual logging. You had something for that somewhere? Hey man, lay it on me. I could use all the help I can get. Alright, so I can't believe this method doesn't return like... it doesn't return like at least, I don't know, length offset. Whatever, alright. Then... let's see, I'll go ahead and return that. I need to specify the content type. String content. Post async. Cancellation token, HTTP content. All right, let's do this. We'll go ahead and do new. Let's see. I guess I can do this. What a crock. Okay. All right, let me go ahead and adjust this. I'll make it full screen. For content. Content.headers. Don't need that. Sure. Well, looks like I picked that one wrong. All right, let's try that again. Okay. Okie dokie. Gonna go ahead and await that. Get our HTTP response back. Yeah, we'll do that instead. That looks a little nicer. Response. Let's see. And then the response I get back from registering a new account. I'll go back to my folder here. You know what? We should do a little better. We should return one of these. And our non-user the ID. Huh, okay. There we go. All right, we can go ahead and return that back. Then I should go ahead and do, all right. I want to go ahead and process that result. I should go ahead and do data on serializer. Uh-oh. What is this growling at me for? I'm going to go ahead and deserialize this into... This is kind of coming at me as a little bit of an anonymous object right now. And let's see, this object was defined as... Let's see, user ID, username. All right. Go ahead and do that. Use an anonymous type on the way out, but not on the way in, I think. Let's see. Yeah, that looks fine. All right. Swell. Response to content. Let's see, what does this method expect? A stream? Let me double check that. A read-only span or UTF-8 reader. Okay, that's gonna be a problem. Okay. Response to content. I guess I could turn that into a spam there. All right, that seems to be okay. Let's see. Okay, go ahead and do user info. And I need to go ahead and pass in then let's see next. And let's see, use conditional access. We'll go ahead and assert the expression is not more. That should do it. That should allow us to go ahead and register the user. And then logging the user in by user ID. We're going to go ahead and throw not implemented for logging a user by name. Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and copy a fair amount of this. And then rather than a register model, I think it's an authenticate model. Okay. Go ahead and make that an async task. Here's the name on that. Yeah, that looks right. Controller method. Need to switch that to login. You know what? I think just to be on the safe side, I think I gotta do that. Okay, that should be okay. The only thing I should check. We do this. Stop. Actually, let's give us some deets. I'll go ahead and do this also down here. Now, once we've successfully logged user in, this is where I got to steal a little bit of info from our authentication state system. Return login result. All right, is login result a model defined in this project, or is that inherent in here we go. That's what that's for. All right. Well, that's fair. That's fair. All right. So what exactly is the purpose of having local storage hanging around? If this doesn't work? Okay. I see, I see. Oh yeah, I gotta update this signature up here. Forgot. Alright, those should be updated. Alright. That's fine. Alright, and otherwise, if the response is a success status code, what is it that we need to do? Alright, so I guess the first thing we should do. I'm still not sure what the purpose of using local storage is for this. Set item async. All this just for some like fake username authentication. Ah, nuts. You know what we need to do? I forgot. We've got to deserialize this. We get the exact same response back that we did before. So I gotta go ahead and include that down there. I believe this controller basically returns, yeah, the same anonymous object both times. Serious. And then next we got our little authentication statement provider. And apparently I have to subclass this. Apparently I do have to subclass it. That's all right. Those are just the models. Unless this is a built-in type. I don't think it is. This looks like something that's application specific. Lo and behold, there it is. Okay. I mean, we're setting these claims on the client, on the server side. So we're using a combination right now of local storage and cookies, which I don't think we need to do. I'm kind of getting mixed signals from the different Blazor content I've looked at. I don't really want to use JWT. Okay, here we go. Oh, nope. No videos for you. Right. This is basically what we're doing. HTTP authentication state provider. And I think we were even looking at this a little bit earlier. Yeah, I think we were. Now we already have that. Come on, people, what is this crap? Actually, let's take a look at the API first. All right. Authorized handler. Post authentication state provider. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that our local storage stuff is probably not needed if we're doing cookie side authentication already. Let's see. All right. We don't really have a login or logout path. Client get from JSON async user info. And that comes from what appears to be a user controller. All right. So we're not doing any sort of cookie stuff at all behind the scene here. Get current user. Create user info. We're just going to return that back. This must be that proxy kit slash whatever it was called, YARP stuff they're talking about. Okay, well, I'm a little confused. I'm gonna go ahead and commit my code here. push this up to our repository, and I'm going to call it a night, I think. I'm bummed that the authorization stuff is taking a lot more work than I expected. There's a lot to this. So there's more we need to do still to kind of get to the bottom of some of this. But looks like there isn't really a standard way kind of defined of doing cookie auth or even really this sort of a local storage authentication out there. So there's definitely still room if you're looking to write some influential blog post or something else on how to do Blazor. There's still definitely some room to go ahead and, no pun intended, blaze a trail here. Well, I think that'll do it for tonight's stream, everybody. We're going to go ahead and end it a little early today. I've been up since about 6 a.m. doing some programming here. I appreciate everybody joining in and helping me out. It's always a lot of fun to do these, and it really helps me relax, and it's fun to just do some coding that has nothing to do with my normal day-to-day work. So thank you very much. I will see you all on Thursday this week, as we go ahead and try to pick up where we left off here. So thank you very much, everybody, and I will see you all on Thursday. Take care, everyone.